Hello and welcome to today's episode of the NancoVerse podcast. I'm your host Naman and I look forward to reading and bringing and discussing the news with you. There's a lot going on in the world. We'll be talking about Google Gemini, which is Google's new multimodal general AI model. We have all heard of ChatGPT by now. ChatGPT has revolutionized industries. It's done so much for people who are into different industries, people who are writers, people who just want to study, read. It's been quite a experimental game changer for many. ChatGPT is so much fun. I personally have so much fun with it as well. I would love to hear from you guys as to how you've been using ChatGPT. Now Google has come out with its own. ChatGPT, as some might know, was by OpenAI, which is a part of Microsoft. OpenAI was also, interestingly, I found out that was invested by Elon Musk in the beginning days with Larry Page. He got out of the investment. It went through some stuff, some turmoil. That can be another episode in itself. The history of OpenAI and ChatGPT. Google has now come out with its own new multimodal general AI model, artificial intelligence model. In today's episode, we will also be talking about mining for critical minerals. This is subjectively speaking, might not be the most interesting topic in terms of its entertainment value. I do feel, however, it is important to know about these things. Where are the minerals that we are using on a daily basis coming from? Minerals like lithium, iron. I don't even know what I'm saying. But yes, that's exactly why I want to read about it. I want to know why nickel is important, why copper is important, why molybdenum is important. If somebody can pronounce this correctly to me, please write me. And yes, please write to me is what I mean. We'll be talking about Google Gemini. We'll be talking about mining. But first, we will be talking about trade ties and diplomatic ties between Italy and India, the double I's. Italy being in Europe, India being in the Indian subcontinent in Asia. Both countries have had a very interesting background and sort of a diplomatic history, even spanning before the modern era. It's something that I'm interested in because I would love to travel to Italy someday. I'm sure a lot of my listeners would also reverberate with what I'm saying because it's known for its delicious pizzas and delicious food and wine and cheese and the good life. However, when it comes to international politics, there's a lot of other things that are discussed, and I look forward to reading a little bit about this. So while researching about this story before reading it, I was shocked to know that there was a lot of turmoil in India and Italy relationships from an international relations perspective. There were many decades of setback. New Delhi, which is India's capital, and Rome, which is Italy's capital, have tried to work out and tried hard to repair these relations. In Italy also has relationships with China, as all major economies do, and that is another dynamic that is an interesting one, which is leading to a lot of shift towards Italy's outlook towards India, considering their dynamic with China and the Belt and Road Initiative. So this first story is written by Shubhajit Roy in the Indian Express in the explained section. The headline says, "The melody in India-Italy ties." Melody. I think he's written melody because the Prime Minister of Italy is Meloni. And they're the Italian counterpart. So I'm not sure if there's a president or a prime minister for Italy, but she's the counterpart for Narendra Modi. So she basically leads the executive function of Italy, as far as I understand. And they both clicked a selfie at the COP summit, which is a cute selfie. Like Modi looks good, man. Like Modi has a lot of criticism towards his policies and his other stuff, like whatever criticism you have of him. But from a aesthetic perspective, the guy, damn man, he keeps fit and he's quite popular as well. Whatever. Point being that they took a selfie, and that's why the selfie has initiated an article which I am interested in. So here we go. Last week, the hashtag Melody trended widely on social media after Prime Minister Narendra Modi responded to a post on X by his Italian counterpart, Giorgia Meloni. Meloni had posted a selfie with Modi taken on the sidelines of COP28 meet in Dubai, saying, "Good friends at COP28." Meloni also added Melody. A combination of the two letters name Modi represented the picture, writing, "Meeting friends is always a delight." That's true. Meeting friends is always a delight. True friends, actually. The bonhomie represents the new harmony in India-Italy ties, coming after some rough years. So we'll be discussing a little bit of the history. India and Italy are ancient civilizations with links going back 2000 years. Italian port cities were important trading posts on the spice route. The Venetian merchant Marco Polo traveled to India in the 13th century and wrote about his experiences. We've all heard about Marco Polo. He was the Venetian merchant. He was a merchant. Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore visited Italy in May-June 1926, a visit arranged by Carlo Formici, a professor of Sanskrit at the University of Rome. Even back in 1926, there was Sanskrit being taught in the University of Rome, which is a fact which is quite astounding to me. Mahatma Gandhi visited Rome in December 1931 on his way back from the Round Table Conference in London. The Round Table Conference is another one of those things that need to be discussed in detail. We will take this up on the podcast. I'm making a note. The Round Table Conference kind of goes back to the times when the Britishers had invited Gandhi to get on the discussion board and try and get some form of diplomacy towards India's freedom, which they never got. The Round Table Conferences were a failure. But we'll get into more depth about this in another podcast. Leaders of the Indian freedom struggle read the works of the Italian revolutionary Mazzini. Indian troops under the British Indian Army were deployed in Italy during World War II. After independence, political relations between India and Italy were established in 1947. Since then, there has been a regular exchange of visits at political and official levels, including several visits by head of states. Decade of setbacks. The Italian Marines case. So there were many cases that led to the setbacks between India and Italy relations, which are now the leaders of the two countries are trying to meet them. So we'll read a little bit about the setbacks. First was the Marines case. This I remember as well. I think there were some Marines that shot some fishermen in Kerala. The bilateral ties faced a setback in 2012 when two Italian Marines were accused of killing two Indian fishermen in February that year. The Marines, Salvatore Gironi, Massimiliano Latorre, were guarding an Italian oil tanker off the coast of Kerala when they fired on fishermen's boat. The Marines said they mistook the fishermen for pirates, and Italy argued the fishermen failed to heed warnings to stay away from the MV Enrica Lexi tanker. The two were arrested for murder. So these Italian dudes shoot two Kerala fishermen. The case blew up with then Prime Minister candidate Narendra Modi raising it in his poll campaign in the run-up to the Lok Sabha elections in 2014. Damn, that was another time altogether. With the trial pending, the two men were allowed to return to Italy. In 2015, the two countries took the case to the Permanent Court of Arbitration in Hague, which is in the Netherlands. The PCA ordered Italy to pay compensation to India for loss of life, and the cases were closed after Italy paid the agreed amount of rupees 100 million. Finally, the case was closed in 2021. Where did this money go though? I hope it went to the fishermen as well, because 100 million rupees is a lot. It sounds like 1 crore rupees to me. Yes, 100 million rupees is 1 crore. Augusta Westland allegations. There was another scam that happened, which some of my listeners might know about, which was the Augusta Westland allegations. This was around the time when the country was protesting against corruption, and this case also came out. In 2011-2012, an investigation by the Italian Attorney General's office into alleged unethical dealings by the state-backed defense major Finmeccanica. First of all, these Italian companies' pronunciations are so difficult. It's spelled as Finmeccanica. Finmeccanica. Anyway, I'll get to this. Widened to include corruption in an over 3,500 crore deal signed with India by the group's subsidiary Augusta Westland. The 2010 deal was a contract to supply 12 AW101 helicopters to the IAF. So the Italian authorities themselves started an investigation into the corruption that they were seeing in this deal of rupees 3,500. After the corruption allegations came to light, the issue quickly snowballed in India. Sonia Gandhi's Italian origins gave the BJP further ammunition to attack the Congress, already reeling under graft scandals. After the cancellation of the contract and after winning a legal case in Italy in June 2014, India encashed guarantees to the tune of rupees 2,000 crore. The Italian courts in 2018 dismissed all charges on grounds of insufficient evidence. This verdict was upheld by the Supreme Court in Italy in 2019. India again made money in this entire thing without having to actually face any dire consequences for the corruption that were there for both parties. And this was also brought up by the Italian authorities. So these were two cases basically that were creating issues between bilateral communication between the two countries. The first being the Italian Marines case, and the second was Augusta Westland. So how do we repair this? The work to repair the ties started from 2018, when External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj led an official delegation for the canonization ceremony of Mother Teresa at the Vatican from September 2 in 2016. She met her Italian counterpart Paolo Gentiloni, and two sides decided to celebrate the 70th year of diplomatic ties. In 2018, this celebration was observed through a series of cultural events. Sounds fun. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar visited Rome in 2019 and met then Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte. PM Modi and PM Conte co-chaired a virtual summit between India and Italy on November 6, 2020. That was in the pandemic was going on. At this time, the 2020-25 action plan was adopted. Setting the ambitious agenda for an enhanced partnership between the countries. Modi paid his first official visit to Italy in 2021 to attend the G20 Leaders Summit. On the sidelines of the summit, he held a bilateral meeting with the then PM Mario Draghi. On March 2-3, 2023, PM Meloni paid a state visit to India following her election win in 2022. This was the first high-level visit from Italy to India after 5 years. During the visit, Meloni and Modi held discussions on promoting green economy, energy security and transition, defense co-production, co-innovation and the blue economy. The major outcome of the visit was the elevation of the bilateral relationship to the level of strategic partnership. So they elevated their bilateral relationship. It's quite interesting that in international relations this happens, that there is an elevation of bilateral relationships after 70 years of it being established. A bridge between India and Italian startup companies was established. She was also the chief guest and the keynote speaker at the Raisena Dialogue 2023. Raisena Dialogue is a dialogue held by the External Affairs Ministry every year where they bring in people and talk about things. I love how they celebrate a lot as well. There were so many celebrations that they had earlier. I would love to be a part of one of these. When Meloni visited again in September this year for the G20 Leaders Summit, the two sides were on the same page for the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. This is again an interesting corridor that is being discussed between leaders, which is India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. This is a corridor that they're planning to make from India, which goes through some countries in the Middle East. I'll have to do a little bit of a deep dive into this, and we will surely get into it in another episode. Now comes a very interesting move by Italy, where they had a little bit of a strategic understanding with China, which didn't really work out. And this is about the Belt and Road Initiative. Italy's move to pull out of China's Belt and Road Initiative has added a strategic dimension to the ties between India and Italy. India had a bilateral trade of US dollars 13.2 billion in 2021-22, a more than 50% increase over the previous financial year. Italy is India's fourth largest trading partner in EU. Over 600 large Italian companies are active in India, covering varied sectors. Italian brands such as Fiat and Piaggio to recent Ferrero Rocher, Kinder Joy, Tic Tac, etc. are household names in India. I had no idea that Kinder Joy is Italian. It's so good. I don't know why is it marketed to kids, because I'm the kid that I want Ferrero Rocher actually. But anyway, this is not about Ferrero Rocher or Kinder Joy. Strategically, Italy wants to partner with India in the defense sector. In 2016, following a corporate reorganization, Augusta Westland merged into Leonardo SPA, Finamencia's new name, as its helicopter division. The then Chief of Army Staff General M.M. Narwane visited Italy from July 7th-9th, 2021. His visit took place after 14 years, and at the service of chief level, the interaction occurred after more than a decade. The Italian defense minister conveyed Italy's desire to reboot defense relations with India. So India and Italy look to reboot their defense strategic partnership as well, and not just sell Kinder Joy and Ferrero Rocher to Indians, which I love. Please, guys, let's have better relationships so that these delicious chocolates and more such brands can keep coming to India and we can all enjoy the sweetness. Rethink by Italy on China. Although on a previous note, some pizza companies would be great as well. We need to replace Domino's. But anyway, rethink by Italy on China. China and Italy have been having a little bit of balance of trade issues, and we can go a little deeper into this. In 2019, during Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Rome, Italy became the first G7 country to join the Belt and Road Initiative, in the hopes of China serving as a market for Italian products and Chinese investment boosting Italian economy. But the BRI, which is the Belt and Road Initiative, would not meet Italian hopes and expectations. Since Italy joined the BRI, its exports to China have increased from 14.5 billion to 18.5 billion euros, which is about 4 billion euros ka increase. While Chinese exports, this is always the case with China, while Chinese exports to Italy have grown far more dramatically from 33.5 billion euros to 50.9 billion euros, which is an increase of over 17 billion euros. Similarly, Chinese FDI in Italy also dropped from $650 million to $33 million in 2021. So after Italy joined the Belt and Road Initiative, the Chinese exported, the balance of trade between Italy and China completely got unbalanced. China started exporting a lot to Italy. Italy was not able to increase their exports to China as much. And they also reduce their foreign direct investment into the country. Why would they want to support a initiative like this? That's another question. For the past year, Meloni has indicated that joining the BRI was a big mistake that she intended to correct. With its 5-year memorandum of understanding up for renewal in March 2024, Italy has conveyed its position to Beijing. Thus, while Delhi and Rome view Beijing from different prisms and vantage points, India-Italy ties have found another strategic glue, that Beijing is no benign power. So one power's strength is leading to the relationship between two other powers coming together to actually realize that, damn, these Chinese are trying to get us and trying to punk us. But together maybe we can eat some Ferrero Rochers and have a good relationship between the two countries. The improvement in ties is music to the ears of both New Delhi and Rome. And while the melody is most apparent under Meloni's term, the long and arduous process was set in motion under Conte and Draghi. So what they're trying to say is that the India and Italy ties have been up and down. Of what I've understood from the article is also that there is a lot of turmoil that the relationship had. However, they are moving towards fixing and repairing the relationships, and not just from an export and import perspective, having more strategic exchange, but also try and get into the defense part of things again, especially after the Augusta Westland scam case. This was an interesting story. I would love to read more about Italy. I'm actually quite passionate about the country. I think it sounds like a fun country with delicious food, as I've said before. And I would love to visit Italy as well in sometime in the near future. I have visited Europe. I have been to Paris. I have been to Netherlands. I've been to Poland. I've been to Germany. I've been to some countries in Europe. Italy has not been one of them. So I'm quite interested in seeing how the people are, how the food is, what the culture is like. Has anyone of my listeners been to Europe, been to Rome? If they have, please do let me know your experience. And please suggest me any nice places that you guys have been to, because that would be great. So the next story that I want to read about is about Google Gemini, which is Google's new multimodal general AI model. This is being built on Bard, which is an existing AI generative model that they have. They have been able to upgrade this. Earlier it was on Lambda, family of large language models, then upgraded to Palm, and then now it's Gemini. So it's kind of reached like a point where they're able to roll it out to the public and actually have them use this generative AI. Quite interesting. Google Gemini, what is it and is it better than ChatGPT? That's another question that people are asking. Considering it's just been a year for ChatGPT and now it's such a topic of conversation and now Google's also coming into this whole foray, I think the future is insane. Like with the speed that they're developing these generative AI models, I'm only curious to see how these things evolve. However, this is a story by Rajan on the Indian Express, and it talks about what is Google Gemini and is it better than ChatGPT. Google Gemini, a new multimodal general AI model, which is tech giants calls its most powerful yet, is now available to users around the world through Bard, which we already discussed. Bard is a conversational generative artificial intelligence chatbot. Damn, these are long words, but it makes sense. Like conversational generative artificial intelligence. So it's something that you can talk to. Like in ChatGPT, whoever is used this, you can understand. You can say hi, and it'll be like, "Hey, how's your day going?" Then you can ask them, "Why is my hair itchy?" So it'll tell you that maybe you need to work on getting some dandruff shampoos for your hair. Stupido. Anyway. Yeah, it's world through Bard, some developer platforms, and even the new Google Pixel 8 Pro phones. The flexible AI model, which comes in three sizes, Ultra, which is yet to be launched, Pro, and Nano, is being seen as Google's answer to ChatGPT, which has been ahead of the game so far when it comes to generative artificial intelligence, or Gen AI. So what is Google Gemini? Demis Hassabis, this is a name, Demis Hassabis, CEO and co-founder of the AI research lab Google DeepMind, said Gemini gets close to the vision of AI that feels like a smart piece of software and more like something useful and intuitive, an expert helper or assistant. I love the way the internet has evolved. I have an assistant on it. Gemini has built from scratch as a collaborative effort by teams across Google. It is also multimodal, which means it can work, understand, and operate across text, code, audio, image, and video. By contrast, ChatGPT cannot work on video at the moment, at least not natively. It is also much more powerful than existing models. Google claims Gemini Ultra's performance exceeds current state-of-the-art results on 30 of the 32 widely used academic benchmarks used in large language models research and development. Gemini Ultra is the first model to outperform human experts on massive multitask language understanding, which uses a combination of 57 subjects such as math, physics, history, law, medicine, and ethics for testing both world knowledge and problem-solving abilities. Also, Gemini can understand, explain, and generate high-quality code in the world's most popular programming languages like Python, Java, C++, and Go. This is something interesting. Like if these languages can develop code, what are the coders doing? I'm sure they are the artists and this is just a tool. And a lot of people have talked to me about this, saying the same thing. Let's see how this evolves. Why does Gemini come in three sizes? They will cater to different needs. Gemini Ultra, the largest and the most capable model, will be for highly complex tasks. Since this model is still completing trust and safety checks, it is available only to select customers, developers, partners, and safety and responsibility experts for early experimentation and feedback. It will be rolled out to developers and enterprises customers early next year. Gemini Pro will be best at scaling across a wide range of tasks and is now available in Bard for regular users across the world. On Bard, it has a specifically tuned version of Gemini Pro in English for more advanced reasoning, planning, and understanding, and more. Developers and enterprise customers will be able to access Gemini Pro via the Gemini API in Google AI Studio or Google Cloud Vertex AI. Gemini Nano will manage on-device tasks and is already available on Pixel 8 Pro, powering new features like Summarize in the Recorder app and Smart Reply via Gboard, starting with WhatsApp. So Gemini Nano, which is its nanoest version, is already available on devices. Gemini Pro is available on desktops, so guys, do check it out. I think it'll be quite cool. I think I'll be doing it right after this. Will Gemini also impact Google's search? Google says Gemini will be rolled out for more products and services like Search, Ads, Chrome, and Duet AI. It is already starting to experiment with Gemini in Search, where it's making search generative experience faster for users. with a 40% reduction in latency in English and in the US, alongside improvements in quality. How does Gemini address issues of hallucination and safety? So Gemini also hallucinates like people. Ellie Collins, which is a name, VP Product Google DeepMind, told the Indian Express that while they have done a lot of work on improving factuality in Gemini, the LLM, which is language learning model, can still hallucinate. When we integrate these models with products like Bard, we have additional techniques to improve the accuracy of responses. On safety, Google said it is adding new protections to accounts from Gemini's multimodal capabilities and is considering potential risks and working to test and mitigate them at stage of development. The company claims it has the most comprehensive safety evaluations of any Google AI model to date, including for bias and toxicity. It is also working with a diverse group of external experts and partners to stress test models across a range of issues. So the big question, the big $1,000,000 question that comes is Gemini better than ChatGPT? At the moment it is hard to say, but Gemini does seem to be more flexible. Its ability to work with video and on devices without internet give it an edge. Another factor is that Gemini is now free to use, while ChatGPT 4 is only for paying users. ChatGPT 4 is for paying users, however there's a free version of ChatGPT as well. Gemini has been rolled out on Bard. Bard is something that I tried out as well. It's pretty cool. It's another conversational AI model where you can ask it questions. It can give you a little bit of a conversational reply. It's a lot of fun. I haven't used the Google Pixel 8 Pro. I don't know if any of my listeners are using a Google Pixel 8 Pro. Do let me know if you're using Gemini Nano and what's the kind of response that you're having. That'd be pretty cool. So the next story that I want to read about is about mining. This is economics of the country, something to do with national security, something to do with the fact that we need minerals for our everyday things that we do, right from our washing machines to our mobile phones to the cement that is on our walls. Minerals is what drives a lot of what we do. It is important to understand what minerals we use, what are they used for, how much of them are we importing, how much dependency do we have for these minerals to countries that have them in abundance. A lot of times this is a topic of conversation. It should be a topic of conversation between people and governments, where they need to understand what is the sort of dependency that we have for critical minerals. And this story is by Agam Walia in the Indian Express, and it talks about the mining for critical minerals. What is the auction process? Why is it important? Why is it important for me to read this is because as an individual who wants to be informed, I do want to understand how are we able to generate the sort of minerals that we need in this country? Are there minerals that we require and we don't have, and are we importing them? And if so, then what are we doing about them? Also to understand some of the names of these minerals and what are they actually used for. That is something that I would want to be getting into this story. This might be a little longer, so you can increase the speed if you want. 20 blocks of critical minerals are currently on auction for commercial mining by the private sector. They contain lithium ore, which has uses in batteries and electric vehicles, and another 10 of the 30 minerals that the government declared as, quote, critical in July. These are critical minerals which are important for the nation. The bidding began on November 29 and will continue until January 22. The total value of these blocks is estimated at Rs 45,000 crores, subject to further discoveries or revisions in the inferred reserves. This is the first time that rights related to the mining of lithium ore are being auctioned to private parties. Other minerals in the blocks include nickel, copper, molybdenum, and rare earth elements. All these minerals are used in key supply chains for vehicle batteries, energy storage devices, consumer electronics, and vital industrial processes. I was reading about how batteries are going to be a very important element in terms of national security when it comes to energy. Energy production is something with the growing population. We require energy. Energy from renewable sources can be stored in batteries and giving out to cities where there is no electricity. With the growing demand for electricity, there is going to be an increase in the demand for batteries, and that is something that we can discuss in another episode. Where there are critical mineral blocks, what are the rights being auctioned? The notice inviting tender, NIT, notice inviting tender, floated by the Ministry of Mines, says that the 20 blocks are spread over 8 states. 7 blocks are in Tamil Nadu, 4 in Odisha, 3 in Bihar, 2 in UP, 1 each in Gujarat, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and JNK. 4 of the 20 blocks are being auctioned for a mining license, which means the licensee can begin mining immediately after the requisite clearances are obtained. 3 of the ML blocks, which is mining license blocks, are in Odisha and contain deposits of nickel, copper, graphite, and manganese. The 4th is in Tamil Nadu and contains deposits of molybdenum. So nickel is actually a very crucial element. It's not only used to make coins, it is also used in making wires. It is used in making gas turbines and rocket engines, and it has the capability to resist corrosion even at high temperatures. It is used to make a variety of alloys which are further used to make armor plating, nails or pipes. So all of these little elements which are being found in different parts of the country are important from an extraction perspective. They're being given out to the private sector to mine, and there is a hope that they are able to do it efficiently and with environmental concerns in place. But that's just a hope. Again, we discussed copper. Copper is used in electrical equipment such as wiring and motors. This is because it conducts both heat and electricity very well. So copper is a great conductor of electricity and can be used to draw into wires. It has uses in construction, industrial machinery for heat exchanges. So when it comes to the other blocks, what are the sort of licenses are we talking about? What sort of rights are being auctioned for the remaining 16 mineral blocks? They are being auctioned for composite license, which is CL. The earlier was the earlier was mining license. This one is a composite license, which allows for the licensee to conduct further geological exploration of the area to ascertain evidence of mineral contents. Once the licensee collects sufficient information on mineral deposits, it can apply to the state government to convert the CL to an ML. The licensee has 3 to 5 years to complete the prescribed level of exploration, failing which the license will be withdrawn. So a composite license will give the person a little bit of time to explore the area and see if there are any minerals. A mining license means that the licensee can begin immediately. What other clearances will be required before operations begin? The NIT, which is Notice Inviting Tender, notes that of the total concession area of 7,197 hectares, 17% of 1,234 hectares is forest land. With status as per PM Gati Shakti portal, the center's digital platform to facilitate the integrated planning and monitoring of infrastructure projects around the country. The licensee has to obtain 15 approvals and clearances before operations can begin. These include forest clearance, environment clearance, Gram Sabha consent, etc. So about 17% of the land that's been given out for auction, 17% of it is forest land. That's a subjective understanding of, makes me a little emotional, but it is what it is. What are the estimated reserves for these blocks? The 2 lithium blocks, one each in JNK and Chhattisgarh, are up for auction for a CL. According to NIT, which is the Notice Inviting Tender, the JNK block has inferred reserves of 5.9 million tons of bauxite, which contains more than 3,400 tons of lithium metal content. The block also has more than 70,000 tons of titanium metal content. The block in Chhattisgarh contains lithium, but no drilling has been done to estimate total reserves. 3 blocks, one each in Bihar, Gujarat and Odisha, have nickel ore. So nickel is quite a significant metal as well. It's used in making of stainless steel and corrosion resistant alloys. It's used in desalination plants for converting seawater into fresh water. It's used in manufacturing of glass with greenish tint. It's used as a catalyst for hydrogenation of vegetable oils to making vegetable ghee, which is something that I have an issue with personally. Hydrogenation of any fats is just, yeah. But anyway, nickel is also an important element that they have found in Bihar, Gujarat and Odisha. So how does India currently get its supply of these minerals? That's another question that I'm interested in as to why. And how are we even having these minerals in our country right now? If they're of so much importance and they're used in so many different industries, are we dependent on other countries for this? Mines Minister Prahlad Joshi told Lok Sabha, India imported 2,145 tons of lithium carbonate and lithium oxide at a cost of about 732 crores. Lithium carbonate contains up to 19% lithium. Lithium oxide, which is usually converted to lithium hydroxide, contains 29% lithium. India also imported 32,000 tons of unwrought nickel for 6,549 crore. That's insane amount. And 1.2 million tons of copper ore for 27,374 crore. India is 100% reliant on imports for its lithium and nickel demand. For copper, this figure is 93%. This is an important statistic. So, India is 100% reliant on imports for its lithium and nickel demand. We had read that nickel is that they're trying to do a composite license, roll out composite license, which allows the licensee to conduct geological exploration. And there is a composite license being rolled out in 3 states, which is Bihar, Gujarat, and Odisha, where they can find nickel ore. Currently, we have a 100% dependency from other countries for nickel. So on some level, there is some hope in terms of finding nickel within the country and not being 100% reliant for our requirements. For copper, this is at a 93% as well. We spent 27,374 crores on copper last year and 6,500 crores for nickel for the uses that we read about earlier. Why is nickel so important? And also for lithium because of the electric vehicles and other things that lithium is important in for. What will happen after ongoing rounds of auctions are over? The bidding processes began after the government declared 30 minerals as critical and amended a key law to allow for the mining of 3 critical minerals, lithium, niobium, and REEs, rare earth elements, earlier this year. To attract bidders, the government also specified new royalty rates for critical minerals, matching global benchmarks. The process to auction a second tranche of critical mineral blocks is expected to begin after the current round is over. It is unclear if the second tranche would include new lithium reserves found in Rajasthan and Jharkhand. The ministry has told Parliament that the Geological Survey of India has taken up 125 projects in the current fiscal to explore critical minerals reserves in the country. In the preceding 8 fiscal years, a total of 625 mineral exploration projects were undertaken. The ministry report on the Committee on Identification of Critical Minerals, released in June this year, recommended that a center of excellence for critical minerals should be established to frame policies and incentives for creating a complete value chain of critical minerals in the country. As far as I see it, I think it's an important thing to have these things. If we don't have the elements and minerals that we require as a country, then we'll be reliant on other countries. During the COVID pandemic, we were able to see how important it is to be self-reliant in terms of having all of the resources that we need within the country. If that doesn't happen, then we are reliant on other people. We're reliant on other people for things. This is also true for people in general as well. Like if you're an individual and you're not able to hold your own fort, you're not able to live under your means, you're not able to sort of have the resources that are required for a sustained experience in this life, then you will be dependent on other people for imports, and that's always a sad situation. So this marks the end of the serious part of the podcast. I hope that you guys found some value from the stories that we read today and the sort of stories that we delved into today. I will try and do more research before coming onto the mic. That is something that I really enjoy. There are times when I am not really sure of what to read. There's so much that happens in the world, so much to be read, so much to be understood and to be gone into depth with. However, I feel an important aspect is to go into things that I actually want to read so that there is some form of value that I can provide to my listeners as well. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's feeling okay with the sort of climate that they're in, with the sort of life situation that they're in. If there's something that you want to talk about, you can always reach out to me. I'm available here on YouTube. I'm available also not on Instagram. I have been off of Instagram for the past 3 months. However, I think it has been paying a lot of dividends to me. There's a lot of things that keep changing in your life. Situations change, jobs change, relationships change, your house changes, the way you look at life changes. There has been a lot of mental shift that I've experienced over the past few months, and I do feel like there is some value in coming on and talking about it freely without having the urge to sort of talk about it from a self-deprecating point of view, because I feel like everybody goes through changes. I go through changes, and it can be a process for you sometimes, in a sense, to understand what's really happening. There are times when people will not listen to you. They'll not be able to understand what you're trying to say. You will shout, you will scream internally, externally, but people will not be able to listen to you because they don't have the bandwidth to be able to listen to you. And you know what? That's okay. That's totally fine. If you're not being heard, hear yourself. If you're not able to hold your own fort, try your best. Let's not be reliant on other people as much as possible. Let's not be reliant on the goodness of other people, because that's something hard. That's something that is not a given. People are not indebted to help you. You're indebted to help yourself. And having said that, that's where the power of real good friendships and real good relationships and love can be a very powerful force in terms of getting us out of situations that we don't want to necessarily be in. Sometimes I did say that one should hold their own fort and should be able to take care of themselves, but I don't mean to say that in the sense that you should not reach out for help if you require any help. If there's a loved one around you, you're blessed. You should speak to them. And if not, then seek help if required. But if there's no help required, keep going, champ, keep going. And I am rooting for every listener out there. If you listen to the podcast up until this point, I salute you. I thank you for taking the time to hear me. And a great way to support the podcast would be to hit the like button on YouTube if you're listening to this on YouTube. If you're listening to this on Spotify, do follow me on Spotify. You can even head to the YouTube link and subscribe to the channel over there. That would be a great zero-cost way to support the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple, give me a 5-star rating, and if you like the content. And I have nothing else to ask for. I just enjoy doing this, and I'm glad that another episode has been wrapped up with some information about Google, Gemini, about information on Italy and India relations, and about the minerals that we require as a country to be self-reliant and strong and powerful. If you guys have any feedback for the podcast, please feel free to drop in on the YouTube comments, or you can email me at nancotalks@gmail.com. I will be dropping down the email on my description, so you can send me emails there requesting for any changes in the podcast, something you want to hear about, somebody you want to talk about, and things like that. Also, an announcement. I have an interview with Smita Singhal, who is the CEO of Absolute Water. These guys are doing some incredible work in terms of water treatment. Water is an extremely important resource that everybody requires. We're 70% water, and these guys are in the business of making sure that the industrial wastewater is treated, and we have solutions and lesser problems when it comes to water. So do look out for that podcast. I think that should come out on Wednesday of next week. The interview is happening on Tuesday. I'll take some time to edit it. I look forward to that. That will be a video podcast, so you'll be able to see me. So do tune in for that. And till then, Jai Hind. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and take a shower if you want to. Peace out.